Hello YouTube friends, and welcome to Mom's Greek Kitchen, the channel where I share my mom's Greek recipes in her honor. Today's recipe is homemade phyllo. We use this in recipes like the kolokithopita and things like tiropita. It's the forerunner or the precursor of the store-bought style of phyllo, which is very fine. You can get it pretty close at home, but not quite as fine. Anyway, it's a very useful recipe, so let's get cooking. Alright, we're ready to start making our phyllo. In this bowl I have 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt. Give it a quick stir. I have 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. I'm lucky enough to get olive oil from my mom's trees in Greece. She has an orchard of 150 olive trees. So we get fresh olive oil every year, which is a luxury that not a lot of people get. Don't want to waste any. And now you just want to work that in a little bit. And now we're going to add warm water. That sort of goes counter to almost everything else, every other culture's baking, but in this particular case we use warm water. Now, Mom never actually measured anything, especially for things of this sort, so I do it by eye as well, but we've got a little bit over 4 cups of flour in here just because that's what was in my container. Probably about 4.5, and I've got 2 cups of warm water here, so we'll see how much it's actually going to take. Now remember, it depends on humidity, depends on temperature, all that kind of stuff, so we're going to start with some, and we want to make a soft pliable dough. Basically that's all the ingredients that are in the dough here. And we just keep working it until we get a dough that comes together nicely, is smooth. We're going to knead it at the end until it's nice and smooth and soft. If it's too firm, it'll be very hard to roll out. If it's too soft, it will be also hard to roll out because it will be gummy. And it will take too much extra flour to keep it from sticking. Alright, that's good enough for now. So now we just want to work this until it comes together into a nice soft pliable dough, like I said, adding flour if you need it. And you want to work it well because you want to develop the gluten, because you're going to stretch this guy out. Well, you're going to cut it into thirds, and each one you're going to roll out to about a 18 to 24 inch circle, depending on how good you are at rolling out your dough, and I will show you that technique. And you will need a Greek style rolling pin, which is basically a broom handle, about a yard or a meter long and about 1 inch in diameter. The one I am lucky to have is actually Mom's, and my dad made it for her. Dad's a cabinet maker, so he put it on his lathe, and I think it's oak, but I'm not sure. And Mom's had it for probably about as long as I've been around. Alright, there we go. I'm going to cut this guy into thirds. Fours, no, too small. We'll do 4 thirds. And then we're going to roll each one of these into a disc, cover them with saran wrap. and put them in the fridge overnight. At least 2 hours, but normally overnight. So first things first, we're going to flour our work surface quite liberally and a large space, because you're going to open this up to a good, almost 2 feet or so. Here's our phyllo. I took the phyllo out of the fridge after it sat overnight, about the same time as when I started squeezing the pumpkin, so it could come not quite room temperature, but not cold. And you want to keep it quite well floured. It's a soft dough, as you can see, and it opens quite nicely. We are now going to use the Greek rolling pin, which is called a plasti. And a plasti is basically, like I said, sort of like a broom handle. This one was made by my dad for my mom. It's been in the family for as long as I can remember. I am 55, and I'm guessing that this is either close or maybe even older, I'm not sure. I think it's oak, but I can't tell you for sure. It's very smooth. It's been polished to an inch within its life, and I think it's oiled. Mom uses this, of course, for opening up phyllo, which is what we say in Greek. We open a phyllo. She also used it she made feta, so she used to hang her feta in the cheesecloth with this suspended between the backs of 2 chairs over a thing to catch the whey. So that's how she tended to do that kind of thing. We used it to drape pasta over to dry. It's had a lot of use, let's say. So we are going to use it at the beginning like a regular rolling pin, like a French rolling pin or Indian rolling pin, which they don't have the ball bearing handles that a North American rolling pin has. And we're just going to keep rotating it 90 degrees, just to try and keep it sort of circular. Keep it well floured. I rotate it up, over and under, so that the flour from the bottom comes to the top. You don't have to worry about over flouring it too much, although you don't want a stack of flour at the end in the end product. All right, that's good enough to start using it in the traditional or common fashion. We're now going to do the technique that this rolling pin is actually used for. And that is, you're going to really well flour your product, your phyllo. You're going to rotate or flip it over and bring it back so that it is ready to start rolling into like a jelly roll around your wooden rolling pin. You're going to put your hands on it, palms down, and you're going to apply downward and outward pressure as you're rotating back and forth. So you're doing this kind of motion. It's not a heavy pressure, just a moderate. And what this does is it squeezes the pastry between the rolling pin and itself, and you start rotating or gathering it up as well. I have a little bit of problem with room here, and then as you do one section about twice, roll it forward a bit, you can bring it back. And you keep doing this motion until you go all the way the width of the dough. Now you're going to take it, we were working it this way, we're going to now unroll it this way. And hopefully I put enough flour because I don't want it to stick, but sometimes it does, and you just gently tease it apart, trying not to get holes in it. Not that it's a end of the world thing, but alright. So as you saw, it widened quite a bit that way. So we're going to flour it again. More on the side where the rolling pin's going to go. And I'm going to give it one more rolling out this way. So again, downwards and outwards. And just back and forth, little by little. And I think that's gonna do us.